Wendy is with us in studio today, and we're going to be talking about the difficulty of getting customer feedback when you have problems with international booking sites. And a very interesting case where Wendy did finally manage to connect with one of these international platforms, and an interesting story of a customer's awful experience, which I think all of us will be able to learn something from. We also will share another unfortunate example of online shopping options that pretend or present themselves as South African, but are actually businesses based in China. And you only find that out when it comes time to try and return the goods you purchased. Good to have you back with us, Wendy.
Thanks, Pippa. Good to be here.
So we've had quite a few conversations over the years about how difficult it can be to get customer service when the issue is with a big international platform. I'm thinking of the stories to do with Uber and Airbnb and these kinds of platforms, because often the person that you need to speak to is sitting on the other side of the world behind a wall of sort of email chains to get to them. So when things go wrong, it can be really tough to get resolution. Now, in today's case study, you did finally manage to get a door in one of these big operators, even though they weren't strictly sort of the originator of the customer service problem that was flagged. Tell us what happened.
Okay, so Daphne Jubber, who's a Cape Townian, she booked a hotel room in Blackpool in the UK for 3 nights last month as a special treat for her and her 12-year-old granddaughter who lives in Brighton. And as a dancer. So the pair were due to attend, and they did attend, the United Dance Organization World Street Dance Championships in the Winter Garden, where several South African dancers were competing.
Okay.
So the Booking.com payment terms were that Daphne would be charged a so-called prepayment of the total price of almost 6,000 Rand for those 3 nights, 2 days before their arrival on the 15th of August. But in June, so considerable period before that, she ended up unwittingly paying 3 times that full amount to fraudsters, though, instead of the hotel. And that's the story we're talking about today.
The nugget of the story. Now,
Yeah.
Daphne is with us on the line. And Daphne, I want to start by saying, firstly, welcome to the show. But secondly, thank you so much for being willing to talk about this, because I know it's sometimes embarrassing to admit you've fallen prey to a fraudster, but there is such valid learning in your experience, which I hope other listeners will take away. So thank you for your time and welcome to Cape Talk.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank Wendy. Can I just tell you, we all listen to Wendy and the cases on your radio program, and we think, oh, well done, Wendy. But until you are that person in the depths of despair with nowhere to turn to, and Wendy flies into your aid, then you seriously know what a gem she is. So on behalf of all the people that she's assisted over the years, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh,
Now,
thank you,
I'm very old and very stupid, and I know one should not. Well, I am 74, still dancing.
Oh,
There
fantastic.
you go.
I know that you must not click on the link, okay? Everybody tells us, do not click on the link. But I was on holiday in Greece, and I was leaving the one accommodation, going into a place with no Wi-Fi. I get this email saying, if you want to keep your reservation, you have to click on this link and put in your details. So I was in a panic, and I did, because it wasn't just any old trip. It wasn't just going to Blackpool. It was a very special girl time with my granddaughter, who's she lost her mother when she was 2.
Oh.
So this was a special time. So the email came on the thread, this is important, on the thread of the emails from the hotel saying, oh, you've confirmed, the check-in is such and such a time, breakfast is such and such a time. It came on the thread of emails, the same thread.
The same
So
address.
this came, and I said, oh, glory, no, I will have to click. So I clicked. They said, it isn't coming through. So I clicked again. They said, it's still not coming through. I clicked again.
On another
Having
card.
put two
Yeah.
2 amounts on my debit card and 1 on my credit card. Stupid me.
Oh.
I then phoned my son in Brighton. I said, Mark, we're going to lose this booking. Please, can you pay for it? He gives me his card details. Thank goodness the child is more sus than aged mother, because he says, Mom, stop. Don't carry on. This sounds fishy to me. Don't do it. Luckily, we didn't do it the 4th time. So at that stage, when I realized I'd lost 18,600 Rand,
Yeah.
I could have said, okay, I'm just canceling, because you can cancel with Booking.com. But because there was so much at stake, I just thought, well, it's just money. I'll see what I can do. Maybe Nedbank will help. Well, I have to tell you, Nedbank, in their rights, because they sent me all their rules, which, I mean, I know you mustn't click on these links.
The thing
Mea
was,
culpa.
sorry to butt in, Daphne, the thing was that you had got those, you had the double authentication, and you got the thing to say, do you approve? Did you?
Yeah.
And you said yes,
Yeah.
and that's why.
I did say it.
That's
I
why
did say
it was authenticated, and you approved it, and that's why
No, they won't
So-
refund it.
No.
Yeah.
Nedbank is not at fault for my stupidity. The only finger I can point at Nedbank is that they lodged a case for 2 of the amounts. They didn't. They omitted to tell me at the time that, hang on, the amount off your credit card must lodge a fraud case as well. They didn't bother to tell us that, okay, here's your 2 fraud cases, but we need another one. So now the hitch, here is the hitch. Thanks to Wendy's genius and perseverance, she has got the 2 amounts actually in my bank account from, I don't know who from, not the scamsters, from Booking.com or whoever.
Yeah,
Booking.com.
from Booking.com. Okay.
I have, after much nagging, got the 3rd fraud case acknowledged by Nedbank. They've sent it to me to say, there is a case of fraud. We cannot help you. Do something else. I have sent that to Booking.com, and we are waiting with bated breath for the
They'll
3rd
pay.
amount to be put into my account.
Okay.
So that is my sad story. And the moral of the story is, don't click on the link. But if you do, phone Wendy.
Daphne, I have to ask, how was the trip? How was the dancing? Did you get to have, despite all the drama and stress, did you get
was
to have that special
amazing.
moment?
No, it was fabulous. We had girl time. We ate at vast expense.
Yes.
Together, we shared things. It was just wonderful. And, you know, Elke's a big fan of Strictly Come Dancing, and to be in the Empress Ballroom where they filmed that, which is now, it was full of street dance, very different to the Strictly. But it was such a vibe, and it was just wonderful to be with other dancers and share that. I'm a dance teacher, she dances, we share that passion, and it was wonderful. So I didn't regret the 18,600. Oh, plus that, of course, I thought was gone forever. Plus, when I arrived there, I had to actually pay the hotel.
Yes, because they were still waiting for the actual payment.
They were waiting.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Daphne, I'm so
And,
glad that it at least ended in the outcome that you were hoping for from the trip, and
almost.
that some of the money has been returned.
I'm
And let's
sure
hope that 3rd amount will too.
Well, if it doesn't, I'll be on their case. And the thing was that you give me far too much credit, Daphne. But what I will acknowledge was that it required a lot of persistence, because, as some listeners might recall me saying on this show, we've had other cases where South Africans who've booked accommodation in Europe in particular, and it was a disaster. I won't go into the details, but I've sent several media queries to Booking.com. I have great success with Airbnb for local and international bookings. They have a great local media response team and a global one, and they are brilliant, 10 out of 10. But Booking.com, I had just got 0 from.
Until
And
this case.
so in this case, I just thought, no, I need to crack through this. It is ridiculous that I have to say to people, well, I can't take up your case because I just get ignored. So I went on to their Twitter, their X response team, and I said I can't get hold of the media. I'm a journalist, and they said no, there's no direct, because we started engaging, and they were then engaging with Daphne and whatever, and I said I need a formal response because it goes beyond Daphne's experience. I want to know about the hacking and all of that to help others,
which
and
we'll talk about in a moment.
We will, and that's when they said. Well, here, having previously said to me there is no direct media email address at present, they then came back with the very one that I'd been using all along. So I'm not sure whether they said there's this persistent South African journalist, please can you get it,
make her go away
and deal with it. And so for the very first time ever in this case, I did get a response, and it was a perfectly agreeable one. And I did say, I hope this continues with
Absolutely.
in future.
So we'll share that response. Daphne, we'll let you go at this point, but thank you so much for being prepared to share the details. And I want to say I agree with you that Wendy needs to dust off her superhero cape and give herself some credit in this one.
Absolutely.
And thank you for your time. And the most important thing is I'm so glad that Daphne and her granddaughter got that special experience that they were looking for.
And keep on dancing.
Absolutely. Keep on dancing. Give her a 7 or an 8. Wendy, what did actually happen when you did finally get hold of them? Because just to recap here, Daphne was taken in by fraudsters, so it was a fraud issue, not a fault on Booking.com's part, but the fraudsters had managed to hack the actual conversation that was taking place within a Booking.com platform.
Yes.
What did they tell you about how that happened?
So this is what they said verbatim. Some of our accommodation partners, the first thing they said was, because I had seen similar posts on Twitter, by the way, saying, yes, I got caught by this, or I almost got caught by it.
Okay.
Be aware, there's a problem with Booking.com. So my initial question is, has your platform been hacked into, and the initial response was, the first line is that our systems have not been breached, which is true, but they have been breached indirectly, because they went on to say some of our accommodation partners have unfortunately been targeted by phishing emails sent by professional cyber criminals compromising their own systems. So it was the hotel itself, in this case, in Blackpool, that
had been targeted.
They'd been targeted, right? And then Booking.com went on to say, in some cases, this has led to unauthorized access of their Booking.com account, which enables these fraudsters to temporarily impersonate the accommodation and communicate with guests. Sure. So I said that I'd read other reports and how serious a problem, how widespread is this problem, and they said, well, only a very small fraction of accommodation establishments on this platform have been affected. Well, I mean, given the millions that must happen, a small fraction is still
a large number.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've been able to significantly limit the impact on our customers and partners through different measures, which they didn't go into. But then came the good news for Daphne. We are sorry to hear about the experience of this customer and will ensure that she is not left out of pocket. So on that basis, this remaining 6,000 something will definitely find its way back into Daphne's account, like the 12,000 odd did.
Okay. So, I mean, that's great, and it's wonderful that they've helped Daphne, but should they not be warning people more proactively that this is happening? Because how on earth are you meant to spot the con, Wendy, if it's communication coming from the real address of the hotel you've booked with?
And, well, in this case, the bit I left out was that when Daphne shared her experience with the hotel, they said, well, very sorry, there's nothing we can do. You still owe us the full amount. But we did send you a warning, which they did. Please be aware. But it was after her experience. So it came too late for her to know. And I think Daphne's very hard on herself. The first thing she said in her email to me was, I'm so embarrassed. You always say, don't click on the link. And I clicked on the link. But she was... It came, as I say, in the thread with all the bona fide ones. It wasn't just suddenly out of nowhere. It was on that thread because they'd hacked into it, basically. Yeah. And so she wasn't sort of seeing red flags. Although if you look at them, she sent me them. She didn't respond immediately. I mean, as in like within seconds. So they sent her another one saying, do it now. Respond now. And the third one, each one got progressively less professional and more red flaggish. But, she... as she's explained how important this hotel booking was.
Emotion is wrapped up in it.
She's with her granddaughter, and she just was desperate that she wasn't going to lose it. And so 3 attempts later, and it would have been the fourth on her son's credit card, had he not said, no, Mom, this is not right.
Yeah.
So it's the fact that they're coming not from a side alley, but they're coming onto the platform, onto the thread that you have already established, and that is bona fide. That's
really scary.
And if if you're not quite, I mean, the first red flag was that she was originally told you make a part payment a few days before, and this was at least 6 weeks before.
Yeah.
So that should have been the first, but
red flag that this is not the term that I agreed
but
to.
that was the platform on which she was communicating with the hotel.
So it felt legitimate.
So, I mean, if she'd gone back and said, but you said I only had to, they would have said, well, there's this accommodation is now more in demand, and blah blah
There would
blah.
have been an excuse.
There
of
would have
some
been
sort.
a reason they would have been able to talk their way into
Through it, yeah.
yeah.
But it would have been at least that first caution. So, Wendy, what do we do to protect ourselves? What's the advice?
So I did ask Booking.com to give advice, and this is what they said. If a customer ever has any concerns about a payment message, we encourage them to carefully check the payment policy details outlined on the property listing page and in their booking confirmation. Customers can also report any suspicious messages to us via our 24/7 customer service team, or by clicking on Report an Issue, which is included in the chat function, where we also have guidance for customers on how to avoid suspicious activity. As a rule, no legitimate transaction will ever require a customer to share sensitive information like credit card details via email, chat messages, or on the phone. And I'd add my advice, which is no matter how legitimate the source of information appears to be, if its intention is to create panic in you, to make you act fast, and if the language and tone is urgent, instructing you to take immediate action, and getting annoyed in Daphne's case, if you don't, know that you're not talking to a genuine employee of your bank or the hotel that you've booked with, or any other corporate company. They are seldom that emotionally invested, and that's the thing. These fraudsters are always get too emotional. The language is off, the tone is off. We just really need to normalize our antennas going straight up when that happens, no matter what you think you've got to lose.
If there's a sense of urgency being applied to it,
Yes.
that should be the first immediate huge red flag.
Anything that's not completely calm and what we know to expect from the companies that we deal with.
Okay.
I mean, other than if you're in debt or something like that,
Yeah.
they might get a bit, but we're not talking that.
Thanks for the advice. And Wendy, thanks for helping Daphne to get some of her money back. And I hope it'll be all of the money back
I'm sure it will.
by the end of the saga. We'll keep you posted. Our second story of the day is also to do with international platforms, as it were, although the listener in question didn't realize she was engaging with an international platform when this transaction began. Wendy, we have spoken about this issue countless times before, but I want to revisit it again because it seems like every week we are hearing from a different listener who has been conned with the same sort of format. Firstly, the name of the business is something Cape Town.
Yes.
And Cape Town is one word spelled with a capital C and no other capital letters.
Sometimes it's two words, but more often
Usually
than not,
it's
it's incorrect.
Nori Cape Town, or in this case,
Yes.
Mori Cape Town, or something else Cape
Yes.
Town. And it's sort of almost you are lulled into thinking you are dealing with a South African business, but if you drill down and you looked far down the page of terms and conditions, at the bottom it'll say returns to be made
China.
at customers' expense to Asia or East Asia or something like that. In this case, it was China. So we want to just revisit this latest iteration to share with you what happened as a warning and a reminder. And we'll talk to the complainant in a moment, because this one's taken a couple of interesting twists, if I can put it that way. But just to give you the context, Glen mailed me a week or two ago, having purchased orthopedic shoes on Mori Cape Town, it was called, Mori, and looking at the website while it was still up, because the version she was on is not there anymore. But lots of red
always
flags.
New versions. Yeah.
So the spelling of Cape Town, there was no phone number, no address info on the website. The prices seemed too good to be true, all the usual red flags. Now, in this case, Glenys did receive what she had ordered, the pair of orthopedic shoes. But what arrived for her 1,000 Rand was not a well-supported, orthopedically structured shoe. She received a cheap pair of very poor quality shoes that definitely didn't meet any standards for orthopedic support. And when she said, hey, no thank you, I don't want these, and tried to return them, you guessed it, she gets a note saying, of course you can return them. Here's the address in Asia. It's to be sent at your own expense. So again, to be fair, that requirement was declared on their website. It was
Which
very
they know
far
people aren't
down
going to read.
on the terms and conditions on the returns page, which very few people read. So Glen has contacted us saying, I know, very similar story to Daphne, I know I made mistakes here, but she wanted to alert other listeners not to be taken in by this kind of offer. Wendy, I mean, you have said this before. If you are dealing with a new online shopping platform, it really pays to check sites like Hello Peter in advance and look for reviews.
Yes, and speak to friends and look on social media platforms. There are lots of warnings about this lot that puts the word Cape Town after whatever name they're choosing for that particular ad. They pop up on Facebook. I think that's where a lot of people are seeing them. Just a general caution around Facebook adverts. I mean, with the Springboks playing recently. There were a news site almost every day about,
Rugby jerseys
rugby
and the
jerseys
like,
that were official and at a special price. There's never a special price for the authentic Springbok merchandise, by the way, so that's your first red flag anytime. But yes, so the thing is that it doesn't fall under the Consumer Protection Act. This is an online purchase. It falls under the Electronic Communications and Transactions Act, which gives you a 7-day cooling off period in which to return goods. A thing which a lot of retailers do, and some of them genuine local ones, I don't know that they that they are not complying with the law here, but they'll say no right of return for goods on sale. They're always offering sale items. It doesn't matter. As long as you get it back within the 7 days, it doesn't exclude items on sale. Otherwise, they could put their entire platform, claim that they're all on sale, and then nobody can ever send anything back. So that is absolutely wrong. But yes, you've got 7 days. It must be in a resaleable condition. And they can most definitely, the Act allows for the supplier to make the consumer pay for the cost of sending them back. And then they've got a whole 30 days, does the retailer, to refund you.
So they're within their rights to ask you to cover the return cost.
Yes.
But they must allow you to make the return under
Within
these
7
circumstances
days.
within
Yes.
7
Just
days.
send it off within 7 days.
Now, Glynis is on the line with us, and I've asked her to join us today because what I love about the story is Glynis did not take this lightly. Wendy, she did not take it lying down. She pushed back. She sent them increasingly strongly worded emails telling them exactly how badly they were behaving. And Glynis,
Love it.
thank you so much for joining us on short notice as well. We appreciate your time this afternoon. Welcome.
Again, thank you and good afternoon to you.
So you wrote back saying, hey, this is not good enough. These shoes are nothing like what was advertised.
Yeah, this is misadvertising,
and
mis-selling.
The initial response was, that's fine, you have the right to return them, send them back, but you had to send them back to China. What happened when you pushed back on that? Because you mailed them and said, hang on a second, that really doesn't feel right. Tell us a little bit about the subsequent engagement with this platform.
Okay, my first mail was that I wasn't satisfied with the product and I would like to return them.
Can I butt in here? Sorry, Glynis, to help others.
Yeah.
Was it very obvious by way of photos, the advert that you responded to and the shoes that you subsequently got, that the two did not tally?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at the pictures of the shoes on the website, they look wonderful. Okay. They look very well made.
So
they look professional
shoes.
On the model. They're by no means the same shoes.
So that's the usual situation.
The usual, yeah. You can actually get this very same pair on Shein for 159 rand.
Oh, and you
I
paid
compared them,
rand.
and they both
both
say sport.
Yes.
They're obviously made by the same supplier.
So that's the first thing you can do. So a tip is to do a screen grab of the advert and then do a reverse image search, and you will find them usually on a more legitimate platform.
So they've borrowed somebody else's photos. In other words,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Glynis, confirming then you had an absolutely verifiable case of the item not being what was advertised to you. What happened further?
That is correct. Okay, further they sent me a mail and said, we do understand, but I think that they have very standardized mails. I think everybody just gets the same one. It doesn't matter what your complaint is. Because if you look at the wording, it almost like it's AI generated. Yeah. Okay, so they came back to me and said, well, if you're not satisfied with it, we'll give you a 15% discount or something like that. It was a very low discount, 10 or 15%. And I said, I'm sorry, I do not want a discount. I want my money back. Got another mail with two options. We'll give you a 30% discount, or alternatively, we'll give you a 60% discount voucher. The 30% would have been cash. The 60% would have been a voucher towards my next purchase. Wow, that set me right off the edge. I won't tell you what I wrote, but it was a very, very strongly worded email. In fact, I said, you liars, you thieves, you scamsters, etc., etc. I do not want anything from you. I just want my money back. That's when they came back to me and said, well, you're more than welcome to send it back, but you have to do so at your own cost. Well, there we go.
Did you find out what that would be, Glynis?
I contacted a courier company. It would have cost me 1,500 rand.
More than what you
courier. Unfortunately, with the South African Postal Services, I didn't want to take a chance and send it by mail, and it never ever reaches them, because then I've lost out totally. Then they came back and said, do you really want to have a think? Or then I just also lost the plot, and I'd want my 30% bottom line. Please give me the 30%, and I don't want to hear anything more from you. I received a mail this morning to say that your 30% has been processed and refunded to your account. Please, it'll take 5 to 7 working days. So like I say, we don't really know, am I getting the 30% back, or is it just to keep me at bay? Because I mail them every single day for 14 days.
Oi. Well
I think they
done.
must have seen my name. I'm like a dog with a bone. I do not give up.
Oh, we
And
love
I
people
think,
like you, so thank you. And this is a to be continued, because this time next week you should have that. If that money was coming, you should have had it, right?
If it is coming, I would like to let you know if I did indeed get it back.
Okay, so we'll
You know,
touch base with you in a week's time, Glenys, and you can tell us
But
whether that happened or not.
interestingly, thank you for pushing back on behalf of everyone else, so that you know how these things work. But even
Yes,
with
I've now
all
learned
your
a
emails,
lesson.
14 emails, but
Yes.
the best offer was, with sending them back not being a viable option, as you established, the best
Yes,
offer they could
yes.
give you was 30% of your
That's
spend back.
Of the spend back.
Yeah,
And
on,
keep
on
the
the
shoes.
on the on the rubbish shoes.
On the I actually I did put in the mail that you're giving me 30% back, and I'm still sitting with a pair of shoes that are basically worth 200 rand, if that.
Yeah.
But I said you win, I lose. Let's just leave it at that.
But at least you
I
lost.
see there's another one. Yeah.
At least
sorry.
you lost a little bit less than you would have if you'd just given up, Glenys.
If I just
the
given
money
up,
comes.
but I am not like that. I never give up on anything. If it had taken me a year, I would have been on their case every single day for a year.
You have to create a special AI generated
Just to
response
deal with
just
Glenys.
for you.
Glenys, thank you so much. Appreciate your time today, and please just do keep in touch with us.
Yeah,
We'll touch
please.
base with you to find out whether that money does actually appear in your account, because of course, that's the other thing, is it's fobbing off and hoping that eventually you'll give up. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt and hope that perhaps this time next week Glenys will be able to tell us she at least got some of the money back. The other thing that I loved about the interaction, besides Glenys's absolute feistiness in dealing with them, was a new strategy, and boy, oh boy, as an excuse. This one I hadn't heard before.
Oh, yes.
One of those emails that they sent back to Glenys said, instead of returning the products and incurring return costs, we'd like to offer you a special deal. You can keep the products, and as a token of appreciation for your purchase, you'll receive an attractive refund of 15% of the purchase price. Wait for it. This means you can not only enjoy the items you've chosen, but also receive a great discount. This choice is not only financially advantageous, but also has a positive impact on the environment. By avoiding returns, we contribute to sustainability and a greener planet.
The chutzpah.
That must be the most extreme example of greenwashing
I think
twisted
so.
to the nth degree that I've ever encountered. So well done, Glenys, for being like a dog with a bone, and we'll keep you posted on this one. But just to circle back to why we dealt with this case on air, it's a reminder again, please, please, please look out for those warning signs. The name that is misspelt, the lack of address and phone number and contact details on the website. If you are going to purchase from a site like this that you've not used before, take the moment to go and check Hello Peter or other review sites. Put its name in there and see what comes up. Take the time to go and look at the return policy and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Because in Glenys's case, again, they have in their defense, it was there in writing. It was just quite hard to get to.
Yeah, and you would need to have factored in what it's going to cost to send you back. Something like send it back. Shoes are going to be heavy.
The heavier it's going to cost, yeah.
And just to repeat what I said earlier, and that is, I have found on quite a few local websites, the fact in the terms and conditions, which they don't hide, the fact that there's no returning, and these are specifically online retailers, that you may not return. You don't have that. What's it called? Cooling off period of a week. Sometimes they make it 10 days. They can they're within their rights to make it longer, but they say there's no returns whatsoever if the item was on sale, which so many items are. That is illegal, and there's one in particular based legitimately here in Cape Town that I'm going to be challenging on that. Yeah.
Thanks for the heads up on that, Wendy. Right, Wendy, before we go to an open line question that's come through, there's been another product safety recall that I think is worth a mention, because it's one that's had quite serious or very serious consequences, and it's to do with a particular brand of instant vanilla flavored maize porridge.
Yes.
Tell us more.
Okay. The National Consumer Commission put out this recall yesterday evening, but it was already bits in the news because SPAR alerted the public of the fact that Top Score instant porridge, it's produced in Namibia by Namib Mills for SPAR. It's been recalled. The commission, interestingly, doesn't sort of explain exactly why. They've just said that there's currently a separate investigation underway, including lab analysis by relevant authorities in the Buffalo City Metro, where safety concerns of the product were first raised. So what's been in the news, and I see even the BBC, the UK picked up on it, that a local police spokesperson told reporters that 3 children aged between 18 months and 4 years had complained of stomach aches after eating this particular top score instant porridge, and they died last Friday.
So there have been 3 children.
We have to say a very big allegedly here, because as with any of these types of food illness related, let alone deaths, there has to be very strong laboratory links established between, the fact that it was that porridge that
caused it. Yes.
So I think that's probably why the Commission has just not gone there, just because it's a very big allegedly now. But obviously, excuse me, there's sufficient concern for the
them to recall the product
to have been done. The specifics which only the Commission has so far provided is that the porridge in question, the batch was produced on the 6th of August this year with a best before date of the 6th of February 2026. So this is a very shelf-stable, minimally processed food, which would be quite unusual.
To be the source of something like this.
So there must have been if it was this product, some kind of really bad contaminant that made its way into the pack. But as I say, this hasn't been established at all yet. It's all under lab analysis.
Okay, but what is relevant is if you have in your home top score instant vanilla flavored maize meal produced on the 6th of August 2024 with the best before date of the 6th of February 2026. Do not eat it. Take it immediately off the shelves, and we will await a whole lot more information on this, I hope, Wendy. But
Narber Mills is saying there's currently no evidence linking our product to this unfortunate event. We are taking the matter very seriously.
So the Commission is saying consumers are urged to immediately return the affected product as its further use may be harmful. It is the responsibility of the concerned retailers to take every step possible to ensure the product is removed from their shelves and not distributed further.
It's all covered by the Consumer Protection Act, which also compels the retailers and manufacturers to report this to the Commission, so the Commission can put out its own recall notices, which they did last night.
Okay, thanks for the heads up, Wendy. All right, I think have time to quickly squeeze in a call from Jeremy, who is on the line with us with an open line question. Jeremy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What's the question?
Well, it's more what happened to me. I mean, I booked with Singapore Airlines to get my daughter and her family out from Australia about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and when it came to the end, I put all my details in. Right at the end, they asked me if I wanted vegan meals. So I thought, let me just check with her quickly. And it took a couple of hours to get hold of her. She said, no, she doesn't need a vegan meal. So then I went back to my booking, which was all still there. And then I said, no, now it's 8,199 Rand more.
No, that's radical.
No, I know. And then I thought, oh, well, shit, I need to get it. So I just thought, to hell with it. My daughter coming out, let me pay for it. But what I did is I made a mistake with my granddaughter's surname. I used an H instead of a V to start her surname. It's Van Valen, and I called her Van Halen.
Easy mistake to make.
Yeah. And the others are all Van Valen except for my granddaughter. So my daughter pointed out to me. I went back on the website, wanted to change it. They wanted over 3,500 Rand to change that letter.
What was the time difference between?
Oh, the next day.
So within 24 hours.
Within 24 hours. So then I decided, no, I'm not going to pay that amount of money. I'm going to go to the Singapore airline office, and I was told that it was at the airport. This is the call center that I got through to somewhere in India. I'm assuming. So I get to the airport. No, it's only open up until 8:00 in the morning when the plane comes in.
Oh, goodness.
So then I Googled their offices, and there's an office in Claremont, just outside Cavendish. It's on the website. It's got the address, the floor, everything like that. So I go there. No one's ever heard of Singapore Airlines in that building.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
So you stuck with the problem? Or have you not
Yeah,
made
I've got
the
to pay
booking?
R3,500 for my daughter to be able to get on my granddaughter to be able to get on the plane.
Yeah, because now the booking's made. You paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you've had such difficulty getting hold of Singapore Airlines, I don't rate my chances. I recently had an experience with KLM Air France, and that was a nightmare. I was just
Painful.
ghosted, yes. But I can tell you that with the local airlines, the airlines that fly domestically, because I often get complaints just like yours, where people make mistakes, or one man put his name as Mick, and he
Instead of
hasn't been
Michael,
called
yeah.
Michael his whole life, and he just wasn't thinking. And so I have over the years several times asked them all for their policies on what I call finger trouble bookings, and most of them, if not all, the last time I did the story, they will allow you to change it at no extra cost within 24 hours. That's why I asked you how long it had been, and I think that's
Reasonable,
fair.
yeah.
It's very reasonable. So in your case, who knows? Maybe if you were able to contact them, they would do it for you, although it's been more than 24 hours. Are you able to prove that you at least tried to alert them within 24 hours? Is there some way that...
Yeah, well, I emailed them a few times.
Okay.
Okay, so there is a chain of evidence that you were trying to do it.
I tell you what,
Yeah.
I think it's perhaps a good reason for me to canvass as many airlines as I can get hold of about this domestically and internationally. I have to say, I wonder what would have happened if they're travel agents listening. They're probably saying, that's why you need to go through a travel agent.
Yeah.
They might have been able to sort that
Exactly.
out for you fairly quickly, although they would have done the booking for you. Maybe the mistake wouldn't have been made. But please email me with that information and your booking number and everything, and I'll do my very best to get hold of Singapore Airlines.
And if somebody listening has
I was
the
about to
magic
say
contact
that.
for us at Singapore Airlines in Cape Town, please
Local
share it.
management, yes.
Jeremy, so if you'd please just jot down a summary of what you've just described to us, including, very importantly, that booking reference number. And Wendy will see if we can try and make some
I'll
progress
do my
for
best,
you.
I promise.
Send the email, please, to consumer@knowler.co.za. consumer@knowler. You're very welcome to CC me in as well, Jeremy, Pippa h@capetalk.co.za. And we'll do our best to
Excellent.
try and get somewhere.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks so much for your call. And Wendy, I think it's a great idea. It's touch base with the various airlines on, what are the things to
How
be
often
aware
does
of?
it
What are the
happen?
consequences of making a mistake
Yes.
like that? Okay. A story to be continued then. Wendy, always grateful for your work on behalf of our listeners.
Thanks.